That's the second time I've done that. Here we are again. You've got to add the fucking stream before you. It doesn't matter. It's a little step that I forget. And for those of you who give a shit, it's just technical issues. So there we go. Hello, everyone. My voice is a little hoarse. I almost thought about not going on tonight, but I am Spirit of 420. I am, because everything I do is so 420. The first thing I want to talk about actually is the name, because to me, part of the reason I chose to go with that name, I've been using it for years, but the concept behind that name is to have the spirit in everything you do of what 420 represents, right? Which for me, 420 represents kindness, happiness, right? Camaraderie, support, getting fucking high, feeling fucking better. So, by the way, I don't know if we have anybody in here yet, but as soon as we are, if you can hear my air conditioner, it's really hot. And quite frankly, in the simplest of terms, I'm going to try to go with the air conditioner, but I'm hoping that it's not a hindrance on the mic over here. This is supposed to be omnidirectional, so I really doubt that it's probably picking that up, but you never know, right? Time for a hit. It's not easy to do it. With this fan, I usually turn the fan off too, but again, folks, it's boiling out there, and in the mountains, funny enough, most homes were not actually, and what I mean is, like, even just till recently, only with the extreme climate change have we seen homes. Hey, how you doing, strange bird? I popped you up for a minute. Excuse me. Only recent construction, and I think probably going back, I want to say maybe the last 7-10 years, which I'm not living in a home that was built just 7 to 10 years ago. But most homes in the mountains do not. They don't have central air. In fact, one of the thriving businesses in the Rockies, throughout the Rockies, in multiple states, is air conditioning. Putting in air conditioning where there wasn't one. So putting in the big compressor and getting people cooled down, if you will. But back to the name and what I was starting with. For me, the whole reason I ended up going with that, because I've been, as I've said before, I've been thinking about doing this and how I was going to do it for more than 2 years. And, I actually bought like all kinds of other URLs and names, and Spirit of 420 was actually going to be, technically speaking, it originally was going to be, as far as a business is concerned, it was going to be like t-shirts and other things, which I have a t-shirt giveaway, funny enough, but that's because I already had them designed. So what better way to use them? And it may still end up doing that as part of the brand and where it goes. But the point is, I come up with all these other names. Like I had the unknown podcaster, the preacher caster. I think that was one that probably wouldn't have flown over too well with some folks. Anyway, I had several different ones, and when I got to thinking about it, it came down to where I was like, by the way, strange bird, I know it's going to take a minute for you to answer, but are you hearing the air conditioning, and is there any hindrance on the mic in concerns to the air conditioning that's on? Because if not, then I want to be able to keep it on. But back to the name, it came down to time to start doing this, and I had to really make some decisions of what I was going to do. And again, I say this: there's no coincidences. It's not by any chance a coincidence that all of this seemed to be coming to volition right before 420 of this year. And so I started thinking to myself, well, maybe I'll just do it on 420, and then I was like, why not just do Spirit of 420 and make that take that in a different direction. Especially since, quite frankly, I already had artwork, I already had all this stuff, and it's funny because to me, that's a great example of everything happens the way it's supposed to. I did all this stuff and I built this entire website and was ready to go live. And then the pandemic hit, and there was no way I was going to try to launch a t-shirt company, even based on marijuana, when, basically everybody's unemployed all of a sudden. I mean, like, it happened overnight. And I had another store too that ran my mom's artwork, which I wish people would run me. I have really got to start posting that. I've got it on the computer. Who do we have in here? Hey there. Hey. Yeah, I know who you are. How you doing, Harley? Princess. Nice to see you. It is apparent that, maybe it's my sweet talk. I guess I'm attracting some females clearly, although I do know for a fact that probably half of I think it's about half and half. So, I looked at the numbers on Spotify where I run just the audio. I strip the audio. I do the same show. It's no different. All I do is strip the audio and I run it as a podcast. 75% male, funny enough. And my highest demographic, it's even between like the 30s, 40s, and 50s are all even there, but 75% male. I thought that was funny. But then again, look at I'm shaking again. Oh God, I don't know why this arm just wants to get to the shake place. Yeah, there's my defunct shoulder, and that y'all still can't. There it is. You can see kind of a bump. Boom, right there. There it is. It's disconnected. That's all it is. And I decided not to get it fixed real quick because it would have taken 2 surgeries. I would have been with some kind of piece of metal in there. And the guy said, you probably are, it's never going to be the same. And you might end up actually having more mobility this way. So I opted to have the funked up shoulder instead of the surgeries and all that bullshit. Fuck knives, right? If I don't have to, I really don't want a knife. By the way, Harley, I didn't get to tell you I've been running around so quick. And since I know you're in the room, I think you'll love this. Oh, we got some more. Oh, okay. You can't hear me. Cool. Thank you. Oh, there's another one. There's Tori. There's one of the males. Fuzzy. Am I still fuzzy now? Maybe. You know what? My face might be a little greasy, but you folks deserve. How about that? That should fix it. I should be clear. And if I am fuzzy, then it's possibly the internet, and I can't do anything about that. I have been having issues with that. Be happy that I even got on. But back to Harley, you don't look anywhere close to what you told me your age is. So I'm just telling you, I thought for sure at least 6'7" below that, quite frankly. Then when you it was funny because you said, kids, clearly she's not that age with everything that all the kids and animals that you have. So huge family, and kudos for you to giving all those animals a home. I would love to learn more about the adult turkeys as well as the babies. So I'm sure I'll hear about that on Twitter. I know I'm slurping the coffee, but it's time to smoke. I haven't introduced this one just real quick. This is Blue Bone. I don't know if you can see that, but it's definitely blue. And it's one of those too, as it gets darker, it'll become blue, the classic. So Blue Bone, and you'll see the other one in a minute. The other one's one of my favorites. It's just not one that I can use all the time for fear of breaking it, and you'll get that. Right? I know it's crazy. You don't look at, and thank you for telling. Nobody believes me, Harley. I'm fucking 50 and I still get carded for every fucking thing in the world. Cigarettes. Fucking. I got carded for lottery tickets one time. I didn't know you had to be a certain age to fucking buy lottery tickets. I guess that makes sense. It's gambling, so I had to be 18. But I was like, 18? Really? Are you? Dude. Here's the thing. Most of the time, these folks aren't doing it as a compliment. I'm just telling you, it's because we have to. I'm like, there's no fucking way that I look anything younger. I get that I don't look 50, but I do not look like I'm 21 or 18 or even remotely close to those ages. Do you see the fucking age? Yeah, people are stupid. That's another subject. So again, by the time I ended up going live, it was right around the corner from 420. And it just made sense. I had all this artwork. And like I said, it's just another, it literally proves that everything happens the way it's supposed to, because I'm not going to start the t-shirt contest or the t-shirt company. And I have everything ready to go with really, the whole point of the t-shirt was that is me, right? The artwork and many of the other things and all the stuff involved in it. It was all essentially about that. That's what it was. It was about the spirit of 420 and the fact that I love marijuana and all these different things and sayings that I've come up with over the years. It's funny. You put the shit on Do Not Disturb and the alarms still go off. Apple, fucking dumbasses. What are you going to do? I feel like sometimes I'm actually talking to this dude versus that dude, which both of them, like I said, that's who I talk to in here. It's funny. I come over here and I get the, hey, what's up, Doc? What's up, Doc? I love that. So y'all check out his name. It is clearly Dr. Zigzag, right? But Spirit of Stone 20 was looking at this the other day when I met him in a space that I was with Stoned as Fuck Alien. And I kid you not, I kept looking at him and I was calling him like Driggs. I never stopped to actually look at his name. I just tried to pronounce the entire thing without even the zag on it. It was, Drigzag. And then finally, it was kind of funny because yesterday or last night, he came into the space. And I love you, dude. Your energy, it rocks. I don't know if you saw the shout out I gave you today, but somebody was talking about how marijuana, and I'll come back to Dr. Driggs. Somebody did a tweet today about how, it's because of marijuana that I believe there was a 32-year-old would be friends with a 17-year-old, right? And I was like, or what about a 50-year-old friends with a 32-year-old, a 35-year-old, and not to mention a 64-year-old? One of the things that I would definitely venture to say, and I truly believe it, but marijuana is one of those. It's one of those substances that truly breaks down all the boundaries, and I mean that. Like, really, if you, funny enough, I'm going to say this, and some people are probably going to get offended. I don't run around doing it all, but I am for the legalization of all drugs. Just understand that. I truly believe that's the way it should be. You should be able to decide what you put into your body when it comes to a recreational drug, regardless of what that is. And the funny thing is, Cuckoo, when you look at it, every single drug that we call recreational literally has a pharmaceutical equivalent, if not multiple forms of it. I don't know if people know, but Novocaine, why do you think it makes your face numb? It's amazing. Some people don't know that, but Novocaine derives from the cocoa leaf, which is where you get cocaine, right? And that's the one I was going to talk about. The only drug, and who was it? Dennis Leary, I think, said it best. Cocaine is absolutely the most social. Cocaine is a hell of a drug. It is the most sociable drug I think that I've ever experienced after or right before marijuana. It's really close. But the only reason I say that is, like Dennis says, you could be a Jew and hanging out in the bathroom with Hitler, and you're like, I know you didn't do it. It's just funny how that drug will take down every single boundary. Oh, you're a pedophile. You want to babysit my kids? I mean, it's just, it's ridiculous, right? Yeah, I know I'm going extreme, folks, but it's a joke. Okay, take a joke. It is what it is. If you can't laugh or you don't want to laugh, then you know what? There we go. We got some laughter out here. We got some. Oh, what's up, Dr. Zigzag? Love is, yes, it is. Weed is for all as well. Love. That just goes without saying. Not to be rude, angels, at all. Love absolutely is for all ages. But I think more importantly, when you're talking about the Spirit of 420, weed is for all ages. Once you've reached the appropriate age, and I think that, quite frankly, I've already proven that with what I've disclosed. I think that depends on the parent and what you see from your child, because it is a medication. So went with the name because everything was there. It was perfect. And it lined up. And that was also what told me that it was the right thing, because how it all just lined up within essentially what amounts to maybe a couple weeks before 420. I put all this together, and quite frankly, it was one of the coolest things. I had to take a screenshot. I'm sorry, I'm a numbers nerd, right? So right now I just hit, it's funny, I wasn't even meaning to look at that. I was just looking to see if there was any messages. But I just hit 1212, which is one of those great numbers. So I have to stop. There we go. Just had to make a wish. I don't know if you folks go by that, but 1111 is one for me. 1212. My wife recently looked up the fact that any number that repeats itself 3 times, with the exception of the nasty 666, right? Any of those numbers are apparently, I can't remember if she said angelic or positive, or maybe obviously if it is angelic, that would be both. But I believe it was messages, any 3 sequential numbers in a row other than 666. Obviously, 777 being the most powerful in the world of religions and spirituality. But I thought that was funny that any three numbers repeated is apparently a good sign, and typically something good's going to happen to you. So I find that funny. I will say this: I really, ever since I learned numerology, and I was 19 when I was introduced to that, to the concepts of numerology. And it's really no different. Just to take a minute, it's really not that much different than astrology. And in fact, if you know someone who knows both, there are things that obviously build on both because you're born on a day, a time, as well as a year, right? All those, believe it or not, all the way down to the minute. I think if you even know the seconds, you can. That's the most detailed. I hate to call it a reading, but I guess that's what you call it, if you get a reading from a numerologist. And I guess that's what they're called. Numerology is the study of it. So I guess those are numerologists. But it's actually quite fascinating because it's really funny. I had mine done when I was 19 and the same, I was lucky enough to have it. A person who was in the midst of just got done studying like multiple classes on both astrology as well as numerology. So quite frankly, she really had her shit down. Plus she went to the teacher and had her overlook my reading before she gave it to me. I had it for years and I lost it, but it was amazing. I kept coming back and looking at it. I mean, shit in there like my kids and when they were going to appear. When I went back and read it, it was amazing how many things were pinpointed, which again, I think that's just one of the many clues that there are no mistakes, there are no accidents, there are no coincidences. Everything's happening the way it's supposed to be. And even when you feel really down, just know that is only a moment, and that moment will change. And when it changes, it can only be better, right? And if it gets worse, then when it finally does change the other way, again, it's only going to be much, much better. That's been my experience. And if anybody's had a different one, we got someone new I didn't see. Sorry. Hey, what's up? Quack, quack. I see you there. My apologies. I'm not always looking over there. Sometimes I just have trouble looking. Quack, quack. And then what do we else got here? Yep, Dr. Ziggs, good to see you. He is. I know I called it, I called him Dregs. Remember that? And then who do we have here? Mindy. Nice to meet you, Mindy. Can we just listen to music together? That would be awesome. And I know exactly what's going on there. So by any stretch, or by every stretch, we can absolutely listen to music together. Unfortunately, I can't do it here live because I'll get busted for what do you call it? Infringement, copyrights, and all those good things. I could put some shitty music on, but you don't want that. Trust me. They gave me 7 choices to add music to my stream, and not one. I really thought 7's one of my numbers, my favorite of all. I really thought for sure, one of these is going to sound good. No, not one. Not one sounds even remotely worthy of a show that is streaming with a guy named Spirit of 420. So that sucker's just about cash, but not quite. But it's time for you to be introduced to, and I'm sure that most of y'all will get the name. It's Gandolfini. Gandolfini. Named after, and you can see there's an idea how long she is. She's quite long. She's packed quite nice, right? And she hits incredibly beautiful. Obviously, Gandalf, because it's very similar to Gandalf's bowl that he smokes in the rings, right? But quite frankly, it was also because of the fact it got its name because just right before I got this, we lost the great James Gandolfini. So, which was it was a loss. I really loved watching that guy act. I never even watched Sopranos, just so you know. I saw most of his other films. One of my favorites that he's in that he doesn't get a lot of credit for, but he had an awesome, not just role, but there's an incredible scene with him. And I'll give you a clue, Patricia Arquette. But that movie is called True Romance. It's actually really good. I know it sucks, right? That was just getting there. We go, getting it all, showing everybody. Oh, you don't want me to sing. I wouldn't even know where to. I have so many. I will sing once my voice comes back just a little bit because, quite frankly, it is just ridiculous. And if I do sing, it's probably going to be some stupid little ditty rap that I make up, quite frankly, because I don't want to sing anybody else's. That's theirs, right? Or maybe Tool or Ween. I don't know how many of y'all have heard of Ween, but I'm guessing not many. They're one of those kind of big bands that a lot of people don't know of. So I bet the girl I was talking to the other day about, we had a back and forth about Jane's Addiction and Lollapalooza. I don't know if anybody here was privy to that conversation, but I bet she knows Ween. I bet she does. It's so smooth because it has so far to travel. What a smooth hit. Again, I only don't, the only reason I don't use it more often is it is big. So it's not like it's, not in the way. It's always in the way. This is the second one I've had because I broke the first one due to the fact of how long it is, how brittle it is, and how quickly you can realize it's not where you think it is, especially for a stoner. It's really funny. They came out with glass. I miss the days real quick before I go. I'm about to tell the story because I don't want to stay on for very long tonight. Only because I have a lot going on. Going to be on again tomorrow night. Going to be on again Friday night. Tomorrow night is a special episode for those of you who have not been following or maybe just coming on board, just new, fresh with us. Oh, we got a new face here. Oh, no, that's Harley coming in. I'm sorry. I didn't see. Yes, exactly. Oh, I know. Yeah, that's right. That's right. You were in on that conversation. So Harley will go in. Yeah. Harley will be going to see Rage Against the Machine. And apparently, I know they're back together, so it'll take a minute, Harley. Did he come back? Is he actually part of it, or is it everybody minus all of a sudden? Geez, that's a stoner moment. I can't think of Rage's original lead singer all of a sudden, and man, that's just a stoner moment. Anyway, the original lead singer, is he actually back, or is it someone else? That's the question. But I know Harley's going to see them. And it was funny. I just have to say this. There was a couple guys that kept talking about being in your 30s and it shows. And I wish, maybe I'm not even going to try. Their memes were funny. Don't get me wrong. But here I am 50 and their memes were like, one of them was in a fucking rocking chair or something like that. Or not a rocking chair, but a walker, right? And the other one was like, had some kind of hip thing on. There was two different guys that posted two different memes, both the same things. And they were like, me at 30 at a rock show, or maybe it was 34 or something like that, but it was early 30s. It wasn't even, mid or late 30s, right? Now I'm 50 and my wife will attest to this. Again, everything I say on here is 100% factual. The opinions are mine. You can't have them, but you're more than welcome to share them. Didn't get that in the beginning. But the reality is I just went to, the most recent one was Tool. I was on, I get these chocolate bars that have mellow mushrooms in them. And I'll give you an idea. So they say God mode is taking all of them. That's 15 squares. I'm pretty sure I took 7. I might have ended up taking 9 that night, but I'm pretty sure I took 7, which even by theirs, that's like the middle phase. It's between 5 and 10, and then 11 to 15 is God mode, right? I didn't want to do God mode at a show, considering I was also on quite a bit of kratom, and I was also smoking very heavily, like very, very heavily. Those are some of the few times when I feel high again, I think, is when I actually incorporate them with mushrooms anymore, because I can definitely feel a difference. And I know anybody who's done mushrooms knows what I'm talking about. When you take that hit and blow it out, you can just feel yourself getting high visually and through your body. At least that's been my experience on mushrooms. Zach, thank you. Fucking how? Oh, it doesn't matter. Anyway, is he back? Is it the entire group, or is it without Zach? So you'll tell me. Nonetheless, back to what I was saying. Was that Tool and took 7? I was ready to mosh, dude. I literally, my wife, God bless her soul, because she's, I'm like 205, 210 at this point in my life. Last time I almost gave this some of the treatment that I know. You can think about it. It's very sexual. My wife is maybe, but she fluctuates between like 117, 123, somewhere in there, maybe at her heaviest 128 or something. Still, typically just a little bit more than half of my weight. And here you got a guy that's well over 200 pounds. Hey, who is it? Hey, what's up? What's up, Norma? Nice to see you. So here's her husband, who's well over 200 pounds. He's on mushrooms. We're seeing, literally a childhood band of mine. And what I mean by that, funny enough, there's a backstory, and I won't tell that whole story. I'll just give a little peek to it. But the first birthday that I spent with my wife at the time when we first got together, which is where I would kind of do her like Princess Bride and the dude on the pirate ship, like every day, like, I'm not gonna love you, I'm never gonna tell you I love you, but you're more than welcome to keep hanging out. Right? That was pretty much what I gave her for 2.5 years, or more, quite frankly. But anyway, early on, and we got together in March, and my birthday's in May. So you can imagine she's taken quite a leap of faith in the sense of getting these tickets. But yeah, she got me tickets to Tool. That was the first thing that happened. And so this year when we went, it was kind of a funny thing because it was around some special time for us. I can't remember exactly what it was. Shame on me, I know, but I was really high. But again, kudos to my wife, because here I am seeing this band that I have seen several times, and every time I've ever seen them, with the exception of the 2 times I was with my wife, because they were bigger. Okay. And when I used to go see them back in the 90s, Tool, they played general admission places. And even when they played Lollapalooza, even if you got seats, you would go out into the lawn and mosh. I mean, that's just, and I mean, man, we have some stories there. I actually started telling some the other day, and I'm pretty sure, Harley, that you were privy to that as well. Oh, that's sweet. Zach is there. Okay. Nice. You're going to have a blast. When I saw them, I only got to see Rage twice, but I saw them once at Lollapalooza, like I told you the other day. And it was funny because the same Lollapalooza, Tool was there. And then I got to see them at International Ballroom, where I was supposed to see Tool, but was too cracked out to do it. And that's actually on footage. There's a whole nother stream about that. Or maybe that was one of my pre-records. Yeah, I think that's Missed Opportunities. That's on the pre-records. So it's the first Missed Opportunities. So again, and then I am going to go into the story. I promise, but I'll probably talk about 3 more things first. I was so into the music visually. I was having an extremely positive trip. They were playing some of the track. Like when you're talking about Tool this time now, and this many years later, you might get 1 or 2 that when you get 1 or 2 of your favorites that they play, and the set that night included like probably 4 or 5. But truth be told, I probably love 90% of them. But again, these were some of my all-time favorites. Just really into it. She literally put her hand through my belt loop, right through my jeans, and was holding on to me, because so many times I was just about, because both of the times I saw my wife, we were in seats. It wasn't general admission. I know I never probably finished that thought, which is very uncommon for me as a stoner. But again, we're in seats. And by the way, these seats where we saw them this last time, I swear, man, if I had that much room in the seat, and it's like a perfect square, that's where perfect square. Funny enough, he's in a band called Perfect Circle. But you have to stand in this perfect square. I couldn't believe how little room there was. Not to mention this, it was still, kind of pandemic. It was at the end of it, but it was still pandemic-y for sure. I literally wore a mask that whole night because I was like, I didn't want to be breathing all the air and take a chance of getting sick at Tool. But I think that almost made me pass out, funny enough, because I did keep that mask on I'm pretty sure almost the entire time. But I mean, for a large, I would say probably they played, all in all, their set was well over 90 minutes. Hell, I think it was longer than that. I really can't remember how long it was, but I'll say this. Probably just after about 20 minutes of their set, yeah, she had to hold on to me every time the song started. We'd get a little break and she would let go, but as soon as the song started back up, she did. Because I mean, I'm just sitting there like, I can't even do it in here because it would just be totally ignorant. And I would probably end up fucking something up trying to make you laugh. And I would end up breaking something and maybe in transmission. But I kid you not, I'm surprised that the people beside me didn't flip out, because I know I bumped into the lady a couple times, and I would apologize or whatever, be like, hey, sorry. I really didn't give a fuck. I was in my own world. I was there to see Tool, and I was there to experience it on, something that makes it a lot fucking better. So when I saw those memes, yeah, I know I'm gonna come back. I was just like, dude, are you kidding? I'm 50 and I still mosh. I still mosh in my office when the camera's off. And that's why I also, by the way, because I have, almost broken a few things, which is why I don't do it anymore. But when I start feeling the music, it's just, you want to bounce and go in different, that's what it is. And if it's not that, then you're literally doing it in a pit. And I know a lot of people don't know that, but it's a march, that you do around the pit. And it's just, when you truly get into it, your eyes aren't, man, you're gone. Even if your eyes are open, you're not seeing shit. And my eyes would never stay open once I got into the middle of a march pit. Oh man, that's why I call it when you're, because not all pits are like that. Really, just all depends on the space you have. Those always formed. For me, I always saw them at Lollapalooza and other venues like that where it was huge amphitheaters. That one I'm speaking of is Lakewood. If anybody knows that Lakewood amphitheater, I don't think it's called Lakewood anymore. Technically speaking, down in Atlanta. I think somebody bought it, or maybe Pepsi Lakewood or something like that has in front of it. I can't remember. Either way, whenever you would go to those type of shows and there was anybody, alt rock, heavy rock, anything like that, the pits got hey, thank you so much, Norma. I get it. I totally get it. No worries. The pits, when they had enough room, would get a big circle. But if you were in like these little bars, or a place like International Ballroom, where these were much more intimate settings, and enclosed. It was really just, and the only reason you couldn't get a circle is because everybody just packs up against the stage. So all you can really do is kind of a mix between what used to be called slam dancing and what we now know as moshing in the pit. And I've been up. I've what is it called? I keep crowd surfing. I've done that, and can't tell you how many times I've helped people stay up. I was one of the ones that would always help them just because of my height. And then I'm telling you, man, that's a dangerous place. I'll say this: somebody was, I don't think it was Harley. It was someone else, or maybe it was, but someone was talking about wanting to go into a pit, and their mom stopped them. And it's actually a good thing, because I saw too many women, excuse me, but a lot of these were girls because I was younger, teens, 20s. Too many women go into the pit, and it was just not good. And what I mean by that is men would take advantage, in the simplest of terms. Clothes sometimes would get completely ripped off. You'd see a lot of grabbing and groping. So those of us who were present would try to stop it, but you can only do so much when someone's on the other side of the pit. But anyway, it was a good idea. I don't recommend, maybe nowadays that might not happen, but again, my shit was going on in the 90s. That was almost every pit that I experienced was in the 90s. There was a few after that. One of the best pits after that was the one that I went to the night before I met my wife. I think I told you a little bit about that story. So, times I should be dead. By the way, I got a lot of support when I said how old I was. Needless to say that you could still be moshing and dancing and pitting and hitting it up with the best of them, right? Although I could see, I can totally understand if you're 30, how some of you might feel like life is beating you down and you feel that way. But trust me, go listen to the music and you'll get right up. It's not that hard. Yeah, also in the 90s, right? Yep. I thought it was you right after I said it wasn't you. I'm like, no, maybe it was. It was a good choice. Your mom made a great decision. Times I should be dead. So I don't think it's any coincidence because I don't believe in them. That some of my best stories obviously take place on acid. I will say this: I have a ton of them because I think I disclosed all this, and it was in the first Tales of a Drug Lord because that was in my peddling days. That I sold a lot of acid, and then I had one summer where I took the equivalent of somewhere between, let's say, 450 and 500 hits over like about a 90-day period. So I have a lot of stories, obviously, on acid, and this is one of the ones. But before that 90-day period, excuse me, that 90-day period was also part of a depression. What I mean by that is the girl that I was with in the story that I'm about to tell, she and I were no longer together, and I was back to couch surfing and all that kind of stuff. So I went on a 90-day binge, but that is truly one. That's why I didn't even tell it inside of because that's a story unto itself. That's like a whole, fuck, dude. I could probably spend 30 minutes easily without, I could probably spend like 3 hours actually telling you about that summer, right? I mean, that's 90 days of acid. And I've already shared one of them because it was that 90 days of acid that I drove the Jeep home asleep. And I think I have mentioned that before. And if I haven't, that's a story for another day. I'll have to go back and watch my streams because I've now gotten so many that I honestly can't remember which stories I've already told you and which I haven't. And on that note, real quick, I am still trying to save some of my best, not because you folks don't deserve them, but I mean, well, they're all great to me. Quite frankly, that's what I love about them. But I'm trying to save some of my best until I get an even bigger following ship because I want to retell some of these later on. You know, when I've actually gotten better, and I keep being told that I get better and better at it. So, also kicked out in 9th grade for taking. Nice, I like that. I like it when you can interact, Harley. That's awesome. Everybody give Harley a hand. Say what's up, Harley. So anyway, you know, back to this glorious story. And really giving a quick explanation. Again, it's a strategic thing because most of these anyway, I'm going to end up probably retelling as I get better, but I have some real whoppers that I'm saving for certain occasions. Like there's, you know, once I hit 100 subscribers, obviously I would like to, you see that smoke I burped up? I don't know if anybody else does that. I swallow that one hit. It's rare. Like the way on my 50th, you know, I did a stream and that was my first arrest as an adult, which was on LSD. I liked acid. Anybody who didn't, and everybody who doesn't, I think probably had a bad trip. I don't do it anymore, just real quick, because now I only have what I call reality trips. That's why I stick to mushrooms. Reality trips, in a nutshell, means you just beat the shit out of yourself for every fucking thing you've ever done wrong, because that's all you can focus on while you're on acid. And then it becomes horrible because it's just all magnified. No more acid. So I just explained the stories. Let's get on with it. I am now 21 years old, freshly 21, because this is July 4th, right after my 21st birthday. Or was it my 20th? Let me think for a minute. I'm sorry. 20th. That's right. I met Susanna. That's what we'll call her for the story. I met Susanna a month before her, or right after her birthday, which was about a month and a half before mine. And that was May 19th, 1992. And I remember that because we went to the 92 Lollapalooza, and the only way we could have done that is we were together. Another story. So we've now been together. We met literally on her birthday. So we've been together for about July 4th, April, May, June. So 3 months. We're now on almost to the day, right? In fact, in these 3 months, I had helped her find a better place. She was living with her sister when I first met her, and she didn't like that because her sister was so controlling, whatever. So I helped her find a place, and she ended up moving in. You're going to love this. This is no bullshit. I got her living in with a friend of mine from AA, an old friend of mine from AA. I was no longer in AA, obviously, but she was still we were still great friends, but this person is actually somebody who she was almost my first, right? And we actually ended up doing it. And now Susie is living with her, but that's because, back then it was different. Like, you could stay friends. I don't know where that's gone, that concept of staying friends. Here we go. We got to do. How could it not be Fry Dude, right? I mean, isn't it? Am I the only one that doesn't agree? That's absolutely what it'd be called. So anyway, Susie is now living with this old ex-flame, ex-AA person, and ex-fuck. We ended up doing it for a short while because in a long story short, and that's, again, it's a whole nother story on that one, because those are my AA days, and I think I'm going to start a new series, the AA days, right? That's perfect, right? AA days. The only reason we ever slept together, though, is because, and raise your hand out there, if you had someone that you almost slept together and you didn't for whatever reason, and then you see each other later and you're both now single, and you're like, do you want to just get that monkey off your back? Like, let's just get it out of us, because it was still there, and it was actually causing more of a problem. And as soon as we did it a few times for like a week or two, it was out of our system, and we just went back to being friends just fine. So, but again, that's a much longer story, and I'll tell you more later. So July 4th, 1992, I go out and I get a bunch of fireworks. We actually went in Georgia. You can't set off fireworks. Just so you know, it's illegal. I'm sure it's still illegal today. I guess because they have fires. Whatever. I get it. No worries. Peace. What time am I at anyway? Okay, I went longer than I thought, but I'll make the story real quick. I almost killed myself on July 4th. See you guys. No. Day before, or actually it was July 4th, the actual day, because our thing was night, right? That's when you want to set these fireworks off. So we went to Chattanooga across the state line in Tennessee, bought a bunch of badass fireworks. I think we spent like, and you're talking about 90s. I think we spent like $100, but these were, and I know somebody will know, but mortars, right? So you can point them, you light them, drop them, and it's literally like a small mortar that the military uses, except it's purely for decoration. And acid, marijuana, all kinds of other stuff. That's a clue. When I say all kinds of other stuff, there are a bunch of alcohol. I don't think at this particular, it was just really just the acid. We had acid, and we had a lot of marijuana, maybe some hash. My throat is so, whoops, that was close. My throat is so dry. I've had to, in my real life job, I pitch, and I had multiple presentations and other moments where I was on Zoom for quite a lot and having to talk and present and all that kind of stuff. So it's now about, I'll just give you the short and skinny of it. We got out there about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, which was perfect. And where we went, it's Kennesaw Lake. I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but it's about an hour northwest of Atlanta. And it's a lake, and we knew some folks that knew a very secluded cove, so we knew we could pretty much, the one thing is, even though it's illegal, if you're shooting them out over the water, the cops are generally not going to be called, because you're not really doing any danger. The worst thing you're doing is littering. I get that. But we were kids and didn't give a shit about the litter. So moving on, we got out there and we had a great time. We ended up, I will say this, we took a few chances, because just like young folks love to do. And when I say young folks, when you're like in your 20s, one of the things you love to do is play some of the games that you played when you were like 8, 9, and 10, right? Like hide and go seek, flashlight tag, bottle rocket wars. Well, we had some bottle rocket wars, and we had a blast. Nobody lost an eye or a finger. We were adults, and we kind of, I guess you could say, played it a little safer than usual, which really it was probably more of the fact that most of us were on acid. So even though we were trying to hit our friend, we were also trying to see something very cool, right? So like, watch out, dude, and just kind of let it go right over their head, right? Oh. Anyway, we're up all night. You know, if you know anything about acid, we got there. I dosed when I got there, so my peak, hit probably right around 11:30 midnight, and I'm now coming down. I'm pretty much done with my trip. But if you understand when you're done with your trip, even though you've come down and you're no longer tripping and what's called peaking, you still don't feel the same way that you did before the trip until you go to sleep. That's the easiest way to say it. It's like there was again twice this thing hit, and I sucked way more smoke than I thought I was going to get. So when you're, again, when the trip is over, it's never over technically. And I mean, let's say you trip for 8 hours and that was how you started your day. So then you're up for another 8 hours. You're going to feel really different for those 8 hours until you finally go to sleep and go through REM, and then you'll come back out of it. And another little side note, the reason that I reached a threshold, and everybody does, is because acid, LSD is one of those worst. It's one of the worst drugs for staying with you. It settles in the base of the spine. That was a lot of the studies that Dr. Timothy Leary did and studied and find out about it. And it's quite interesting because you still get flashbacks. Anybody who's done a lot of acid get them. I get them all the time. Usually it's when funny enough, when I'm in a stressed moment and stressing that part of my back. And here's one of those strange things, because I'm not done with the story, right? I haven't nearly killed myself, but I'm gonna go ahead and share one of those strange things because I just thought about it and I didn't have one. But because of doing so much acid, right, and the fact that I'm a sitter, so I always sit, if you remember, when I'm on the John. There are times where, particularly, am I going to say this? Fuck it. Again, when I'm constipated and really pushing hard, I will literally have a fucking flashback. And I mean, I will see all kinds of fucking trails and shit. It is insane. And it's literally because I put so much pressure into, pushing that shit out. So there you go. That's probably a good clip. Regardless, you're not the same. I'm now driving. July 4th was in the middle of a week. And I purposely didn't mention that so that you would get it right now. It is now 7:30. And I should have said this, but I think, you kind of get the idea because I told you we had to go up, right? Not only did we had to come back down into Atlanta, we had to go through Atlanta entirely because Susie's roommate, my old fling, literally lived southeast, almost like perfectly. So, you had to, there was a certain amount that you did, but then you got on the interstate and basically had to go through the interstate all the way through Atlanta. That's through I-25 that also crosses over. You end up merging in with 85, and then you end up crossing over I-20. And because of where she is, we end up getting off at I-20. And then that's the way that, so where they cross, we get off on I-20 and go that way to the other side of Atlanta. So if you're following all this, I have not been to sleep since it's definitely been 24 hours wide awake. Because generally in that day I was getting up at around 7. It is now 7:30. We have gotten through most of Atlanta, and this is rush hour on like a Thursday or Friday. I cannot remember which one it was. All I can tell you is I remember thinking, wow, this really sucks because this is like extreme. It's not just busy. It's real, because Thursday would get really busy. And then Friday, everybody knows, like once 3 o'clock in the afternoon hits, that's how bad Friday was. But on a Friday morning, it would be rush hour from about 5:30, 6 o'clock until around 11. So right there in the middle of it, right? So driving home, I'm the one driving. I do not have a license. I do not have my seatbelt on. And Susie's in the seat beside me. We're in a Honda Accord. I'm trying to think of what year it is. I think it was like an 88. It was back then for the year that we were in, it was really nice. It was power everything. even had, like I think it was like D4, D3, and then there was like a power save and boost or whatever, all these little buttons on there. Loved driving that car. This was the last time I would drive it. As we're coming home, and I'm in the almost the far right lane. Some dude from, I don't know if he was all the way over, because this where we were, there was 4 lanes consistent, and then there was always a 5th that was exiting, and exiting on. So it would only not be there for a moment. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. So essentially it's 5 lanes, and they were doing construction on the right-hand side. They were adding more lanes. They're always adding more lanes in Atlanta. It's ridiculous. I won't go off on that tangent because we don't have much time. So anyway, I'm in lane, if you have, these are the lanes, right? And they're moving this way. I'm in I remember now, I'm in the far one. I'm in the slowest lane. I was a little, I was aware of my condition, and I wasn't trying to be a fast, Yeti. All of a sudden, this dude in a truck, or no, I guess it would be from over here, this angle here. This dude in a truck wants to make this exit that's coming up and does this maneuver. And I'm the only one that cannot stop in time. And I tried, and even the slow end over there, you're generally, even during rush hour, don't get me wrong, like it's rush hour, but that just means there's a lot of cars. It moves pretty fast. You're still looking at doing, anywhere between 55 and 65. And he did this so much, I couldn't slow down enough before he was going to hit me. Ended up going off the road. And I went right into a fucking hole that was wider than the car and twice as long as the car, because I went into the hole and then just went right on. I kid you not, just fucking upside down. The first thing I did, I had a bag of drugs in there. I don't know if you guys remember. I think they still sell them, but we used to call them just hippie bags, right? Or Grateful Dead bags, because everybody that followed the Dead back then had them. But they were about this big. They were net mesh bags, and they had a little zipper, and you could basically put all your drugs in. I'm sure at least 1 or 2 people will remember these. Regardless, that bag was in the car. Funny enough, there was an autographed, I'll never forget this, and I'll tell you the story. I won't tell you who it was, but remind me. There was an autographed pack of matches from Club Anytime in there that was from someone quite famous, and I was always upset that I lost it. And of course, the way that I lost it was as soon as that wreck happened. I kid you not, it didn't knock me out. I wasn't unconscious. I wasn't in a seatbelt. So I'm immediately now on the roof of the car. I get out, I grab the bag, and I run over to the fence. Because there's the way that Atlanta's growing. This is literally, the interstate's right up against fucking homes in their backyard, and their fences are like maybe 15 yards from the hole where I was at, literally maybe 15, 20 yards at best. Whatever the minimum is, that's where the backyard ends, that property line. I kid you not. And I went over there and shoved the bag under some leaves and grass. And in my mind, I thought I marked it. And I'm sure I did, because one thing I noticed, somebody saw me, right? Whoever saw me knew what was going on. I don't think the cops ever found out about that. I was actually surprised, because I figured somebody even back then would say it, but I was hoping that nobody gathered what I was doing. And I don't think anybody knew I had that bag with me when I ran over there. They probably, if anything, thought I was maybe in shock and just walking away from the interstate, which quite frankly would look somewhat normal anyway, right? It wasn't like I was out there, I've got this bag of fucking drugs I'm going to hide. It was in my pocket. So it wasn't until I, knelt down, and not that, but there's, how to explain it. There was maybe a scattering of trees. So there's just really trunks. So you can see through, but there is some leeway to kind of be hidden, if you will, and some bush. I don't know if all that makes sense, but it's essentially, once you get over to the fence, you're not 100% seen unless somebody's staring over as they pass. That's the bottom line. So anyway, funny enough, all I got, I still have the scar from it. I got 2 stitches in the top of my skull from that, 2 stitches. Stacy, Susie, whatever the hell I'm calling her, she had multiple lacerations, bruised and cracked rib. She was in her seatbelt. Isn't that funny? It always stuck with me. Like so many of my stories, I was young, dumb, full of cum, and I mean that not to just be funny, but because I did so much stuff on the fly. It truly, I know I've used those 9 lives up, man. Quite frankly, because that I'm not in a seatbelt. I mean, it was just a nick. The only reason they gave me stitches is they're like, if you don't, you're going to have this is exactly what they said. Like, you don't need stitches, but if you don't get stitches, you're going to have this kind of a odd scar if you shave your head, number one. And you may even have a funny thing going on with your hair because it'll, have this big spot there. I was like, okay, give me some stitches. I remember sitting there. I didn't even feel a thing because they shot me up with Nova cocaine. That pun's for you, buddy. And you know who you are. This pun is for you. Nonetheless, let's wrap it up. Wrapping it up, as they say. I think I'm going to have to get one of those Dave Chappelle wrap it up buttons. Anybody remember that from the old Chappelle show? So to say it in the simplest of ways, I think one of my favorite themes is times I should be dead is there's so many, I mean, I flipped the car and I wasn't in a seatbelt. I technically should have a broken neck. I mean, is anybody not, I'm like, that's, you can't do it. Here's the car. That's it. That without a seatbelt, approximately 40 miles an hour. Okay. I'm pretty sure I told the one of me driving the Jeep home, the Jeep Wrangler. I drove a Jeep for an hour asleep. I should be dead. I'm not. There's a reason it all works out the way it's supposed to for you. Everybody has their piece. And again, it always comes back to me. The space that we had last night was incredibly wonderful. I got a lot of great messages and feedback from it. Really enjoyed Venus being there. And I also enjoyed some other people who watched or went back and listened to it because the recording is on my Twitter feed. But it really, 6 degrees of separation really has a lot to do with it. And the more people you touch, then the more those 6 degrees are affected. And the more you lower that number and the more you can do something. And the fact that I have, and many times gotten the exact opposite of result than I should have gotten in the sense that I should be dead and somehow come out without a mere scratch. I mean, I didn't have anything else, just that little nick, not even a bruise. And I kept feeling around. I was a little sore the next day from the jolt. And he said like my whole body. And what I mean by that is it wasn't bad sore, but I had this like kind of weird ache, but they said that's normal because of the shock of the impact. Right. But you come out unscathed and you have to start to wonder, well, maybe there's a reason, because it was all leading me to get to this point where I start to share these things with you folks and explain, not only who I am, but the reality that it all happens for a reason. If you're having a bad day, it's going to get better. And I'll say this to anybody who's watching. If you're having a bad day, don't hesitate to reach out to me because I promise you I will give you some positive shit. I will turn your frown upside down. I promise. Try me. That's all you got to do. And I ran out of coffee again tonight, which is typical when you go and you just keep blabbing. My voice is all but gone. I'm going to have to shut up tomorrow, but I can't. I have more presentations. And the reality is, most people don't realize just how normal strange is. And a lot of that is because of their opinions. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one and everybody thinks that everybody else stinks. Mine, they stink like coffee and grade A weed that I'm going to smoke here now and then throw my intro up and say goodbye. I truly love and appreciate all the support. I will give it back tenfold. Just ask for it and you'll get it. If you don't need it and you just need a cheering up, ask for that. Either way, I will be on again tomorrow with a special episode with the vets. The next day, I'll be back with a regular show. And Saturday night, as it sits right now, I tentatively am planning on doing a space, which is only on Twitter. So follow me on Twitter and you'll be able to join that space. With that said, folks, again, I really appreciate it. Love seeing so many of the same faces continuing and those faces continuing to grow with new names and new faces. And how I do it, I just, every name creates a face up here for me. So I know you get to see mine. Doesn't matter. Don't care if I get to see yours. All that matters is I have a face with the name. Y'all have a wonderful day. You're all incredibly awesome folks. You all have your own incredible, awesome story, truly. And somewhere you have a talent, whether you have found it or not. I promise you have something that you're talented like nobody else out there. And when you find it, grab a hold of it and move with it. Go with it. Love you guys. Till next time.